Hello again, Hornets fans, and welcome to another episode of Hornets Daily, presented by Fan Arc, your one-stop shop for all things Charlotte Hornets. You know by now, but I'm Vance Ballard, and friends call me VB. Thanks so much for joining today, and as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and a comment on the video, as we are quickly approaching next week's shows, which is when I said we will begin to dive into the comment section, bring you guys on board, talk about what you've been saying in the chat, talk about what you guys are thinking about what the Hornets have been doing so far this summer. Now, I want to wish everyone a happy Friday and remind you that it is a very special one at that. As I mentioned going away on yesterday's show, it's officially the start of the Hornets Summer League campaign. Charlotte will tip off tonight at 7 p.m. against the Utah Jazz, and I am probably much more excited about that than I should be. We'll talk plenty about the game and what we should be watching for, who we should be keeping an eye on later on in the show. But there are a few other things buzzing around in the Queen City that we need to address today as well. The rookies have been getting a lot of love recently. Khan was mic'd up at practice on Thursday. Ryan Cochrunner was the topic of multiple articles on the internet, and Sion James got himself a write-up as well. We also had some off-the-court news regarding the broadcast team of Eric Collins and Dale Curry. We'll explain that situation a little bit and give the best update we can about what that may mean for the Hornets broadcasts during this regular season. It's a jam-packed Friday show, folks, and you know exactly how we feel about beating around the bush here on Hornets Daily. So let's just get right to it. As I said there at the top, the rookies have been the center of attention in Charlotte in the recent days, as they have all been a topic of discussion in one form or fashion. As we know, Khan went on SportsCenter earlier in the week to give him some national attention. And then on Thursday, we saw some footage of him mic'd up during a Summer League workout. Now, it's obvious that the Hornets are all in on exposing Khan to the world and the world to Khan. And so far, they both have been crushing it. The mic'd up footage gives a great insight into what kind of player Khan is as well. We got a nice glimpse of his high motor, his high energy level at practice and during a workout, and his excellent communication skills as he's moving around, talking to his fellow teammates. And they also provided some glimpses of those same teammates connecting very well with Khan, which is exactly what you want to see out of your number 4 overall pick. The two articles about Cochrunner, those were the ones I found very intriguing, however. Now, since being drafted in the second round, we've come to learn a lot more about the expectations and the plan that Charlotte has for the former Creighton big man. All signs currently are point to them intending on making him a big part of the rotation as early as this season and even early in this season. Now, as we all know, this could of course be in major part due to need as opposed to want, because I'm sure the Hornets would love to let a guy like Cochrunner, who does still need a little bit of work, a little bit of fine-tuning in some parts of his game. I'm sure they would like to allow for a player like that to develop in the G League, but as we know, the Hornets are limited, to say the least, at the 5 position right now, and so it may require Cochrunner to get his learning and developing done in real NBA action. Now, we know that Cochrunner was drafted mostly because of his already proven defensive ability. The 4-time Big East Player of the Year he was. Now, he should increase the paint presence on the defensive end of the floor almost instantly when he comes into the game, because he is an elite shot blocker and he has the size to be more than a force on the glass as well. The big question about Ryan defensively is going to be whether he can stay in front of the more modern style NBA big man who likes to play around the perimeter. Is Cochrunner going to be able to stay in front of him, get out and distract him, keep them from getting to their spots? And another thing this summer league will provide us will be a good insight, some good information to see where Kalkbrenner stands defensively in the pick and roll. How's he going to do? Is he going to have to switch on to a quicker guard? Can he stay in front of the smaller, quicker man? Is he going to be able to stay with his man and not go with the guy, with the ball handler? That's going to be an important thing to watch as the summer league develops and Kalkbrenner continues to develop his style of play for the NBA. Now he'll get plenty of opportunities to prove himself out in Vegas as he is in line to be the starting center during the summer league stretch. And so we'll see, again, plenty of minutes for Kalkbrenner. He'll get plenty of reps to kind of feel himself out in the paint against some very high-level talent early in the summer league in the four games that we know about, and the one to be determined still yet to be announced. Now, we've discussed a little bit earlier in a little bit earlier show, not necessarily this episode, but in an earlier episode this week, we kind of talked about the learning curve that Kalkbrenner was going to be overcoming in terms of offense, as he is coming off of 5 years in the exact same system at Creighton, a system he was able to get very comfortable in and put his skills on display to the fullest fashion while he was in a Blue Jay uniform. But that does mean there's no doubt going to be a learning curve, as we mentioned, for Kalkbrenner coming into the NBA. It's going to take some time for him to pick up on a new offensive system and feel comfortable in what he is able to do on the offensive side of the floor for the Hornets. The second article referencing Kalkbrenner that I was talking about from Thursday gave a little more insight into what a part of what that adjustment period is going to look like and what the Hornets want to focus on in terms of offensive adjustment for Kalkbrenner. Schuler Callahan wrote on Hornets SI about Charlotte's mindset on Kalkbrenner from behind the arc on the offensive side of the ball. In the article, there's a quote from Kalkbrenner when he was on 92.7 WFNZ's Wes and Walker show, this local Charlotte radio show for the Hornets. Kalkbrenner was discussing his ability to stretch the floor and said, quote, "I know the coaching staff told me that if I'm open, to let it fly." Now, this quote is a clear indication that the Hornets want Kalkbrenner to become a threat from all over the floor on offense. This isn't necessarily uncommon for the big man, who was able to increase both his three-pointers attempted as well as his make percentage from behind the three-point stripe each year he was at Creighton. He's also coming off his best year shooting from behind the arc. He shot 34% in his 5th year with the Blue Jays. If he is able to become a real threat from behind the arc, that would do wonders in opening up the floor for the ball handlers to be able to make some more plays when Kalkbrenner is on the court. It would, and if he's able to shoot at a clip of 34% from beyond the arc, that instantly makes him the best three-point shooting big man on the Hornets roster and just gives him more reason to work his way into that rotation. It would also open him up on the offensive pick and roll. I know we just mentioned what's he going to be able to do on the other side of the ball, but offensively in the pick and roll, if he is able to become a legitimate three-point threat, this would open him up, as well as the defender would have to play further out on him instead of hanging back to avoid the pick and pop. This would allow for Kalkbrenner to roll to the basket a little easier, have a little more open lane, and set up for some big alley-oop opportunities, which we know Kalkbrenner is best known for in the first place. Now we'll shift gears here to somebody else who is known for being well involved in some big, exciting alley-oop situations, and that is beloved play-by-play broadcaster Eric Collins. Collins, as well as his broadcast partner Del Curry, were in the news on Thursday because it was announced that the duo has signed a contract with Amazon Prime to become a part of their NBA coverage team going into the 2026 regular season. Now, if you're like me, the initial shock value of this news was jarring, to say the least, because I, for one, love Eric Collins and Del Curry, and listening to them is a true joy when they call a game. It's, in my opinion, one of the elite broadcast teams in the league, and the thought of them not being there calling Hornets games again was shocking and jarring to say the least at first. Because we all know that losing the electricity of an Eric Collins call would have been a big blow to so many here in Charlotte who love hearing him call Hornets games, seeing him go viral, exciting play calls. That's what you get out of Eric Collins, and we've all grown to love that here. And as Hornets fans, and losing that is it's just something that would have really not set right with me. Which is why I'm glad that it didn't take very long for us to find out that this was not going to be the death blow we thought it was for the broadcast team, as it was revealed shortly after the initial announcement that both men would still be with the Hornets for the lion's share of their games. Curry will stay on as the main analyst in the same role that he has been for the broadcasts on FanDuel Sports Southeast, while Collins will, of course, remain in his play-by-play role for the majority of Hornets games this season. This is huge news not only because of how beloved Collins is amongst the Hornets fan base, amongst Hornets Nation here, but also because of the exposure that a great Eric Collins call can bring the Charlotte market. We all know when he gets excited, when a big play happens, when a buzzer beater, something that causes him to get out of his seat. We all know how viral that can go and how much exposure that can actually bring here to the Charlotte market, which is always a good thing, especially when people get to see the playmakers on display in a Hornets uniform. So like I say, while we'll still get to hear Collins and Curry on the home broadcast during the regular season, unfortunately, we will not be blessed with them during the Summer League, which is what we will switch gears back to now. As we've referenced a couple times, we know that today is the day the Summer League officially tips off for the Charlotte Hornets, that is, at 7 p.m. tonight against the Utah Jazz. Now, for me personally, and I think a lot of people watching, a lot of you guys sitting around, you kind of agree with me, this is one of the most highly anticipated Summer League stretches in recent memory. Now, I know last year's success of 7-1 in the Summer League, maybe on the back end, looks like it was also highly anticipated, but me personally, I wasn't nearly as excited for that run last year that I am for what we're coming into now, starting here today. It's our first real chance to see the new crop of rookies actually play basketball together. I don't want to say together because we have obviously seen Sion James and Con Knipple play together, but play together in a Hornets uniform for the first time. We can get a glimpse of the development of guys like Tajon Salon, KJ Simpson, and even James Banks III. How has a full season as an NBA player or a two-way player, and then with Shalon, how's a full offseason of being healthy? How does that impact their development? And what does it mean for those guys going forward? Vegas also offers us a chance to see what not as heard of guys, but guys, names you still may know, guys like a PJ Hall or even a Charlotte native like Jalen Sims. Vegas offers us a chance to see what those guys may have to offer an NBA team while still being able to learn a lot about the direction for the future of this franchise here in Charlotte. Now, I know what you're thinking, Vance. You sound awfully excited. You're getting a little too ahead of yourself here. You don't want to put the cart before the horse. And I understand that completely. As I just mentioned, I do not forget the 7-1 record from last year's trip out west in the Summer League. And we again know how the regular season unfolded after that. So while it can provide all the excitement in the world in the Summer League with optimism, with hope, we must be realistic about what games like tonight's matchup can actually show us. So I get that again, tempered expectations. I know I mentioned how excited I was. I'll say it again. I am very excited, but at the same time, I know what to expect out of a game like tonight. Game 1 features a battle of top 5 picks on the floor, though, as we mentioned, some more excitement there, as Ace Bailey will be suiting up for the Jazz this evening. Now, I should also mention that it is only Game 1 for the Hornets, as the Jazz are coming off a 3-0 Summer League start in the Salt Lake City Summer League. So not only has Ace Bailey had some time to get some game reps under his belt, but so has his fellow rookie running mate and March Madness sensation Walter Clayton Jr. Now, it'll more than likely be KJ Simpson who draws the assignment of the former Florida Gator Walter Clayton, which will give us an early opportunity to see what KJ Simpson has in his bag against a high level talent, someone who we all assume is going to be an important piece of the Utah franchise going forward in Walter Clayton Jr. Someone, if you're like me and watching this show, more than likely watching this podcast, you're aware of what he was able to do in March. So you know the matchup, the opportunities at hand for KJ Simpson against a guy like Clayton Jr. and what that provides tonight as well. Some good action there. We'll also get a very early display of what Liam McNeely can do on the defensive side of the ball. I mentioned Ace Bailey will be suiting up for the Jazz. He'll probably be the man guarded by McNeely, as they both will more than likely play the three in the starting lineups tonight. No doubt Sion James is going to come off the bench and take his fair share of minutes against Ace Bailey as well. As we know, that's kind of what James does. He is more of the on-ball defender. He's the guy that eventually the Hornets hope can develop into that role of guarding the best offensive threat on the other team, and that would for sure be Ace Bailey coming into tonight's matchup. Now the Jazz, they also have a former Blue Devil of their own, as Kyle Filipowski will start at their 4, which will give Tajon Salon a very good test in his first action this summer as well. Now, I know I've been saying over and over and over how excited we are. I know I just talked about some tempered expectations. I want to bring those back up again. I am aware of how the mindset we have to go into tonight's game with. I know that we can't expect a finals-ready team to be on the court, and more than likely, in all honesty, we're probably going to get some sloppy basketball, a bit of a sloppier game, as it will be the first time this group of guys has been in a game together. But the key to all of that is that we see some moments, some glimmers of hope, maybe some optimism from the rookies, and more importantly, some obvious signs of development from the second-year guys, mostly like a KJ Simpson or a Tajon Salon. We've spoke ad nauseum about it here on Hornets Daily, about the pressure that is on Salon. Salon is aware of it. He's spoken about it. He knows it. He's accepted it. He's ready for it. And he's taken a vigorous workout approach to this offseason, to this summer. And we've seen some signs in some videos from practice and workouts that the offseason regimen is working. Salon seems to have a bit more in his offensive bag. And this matchup against second year pro Filipowski will be a good test of what he's got on the defensive end as well. If the Hornets are able to accomplish those things I just mentioned, give us some hope, some glimmers of optimism, show some signs of development for the second-year guys, and maybe even throw in a win on top of that, I think that they will be off to more than the right start out in Vegas, as that stretch will continue into next week. Well, folks, that really leaves only one thing left to do now, and that is watch and see. We'll know a lot more about the capabilities of this team and everyone on the Summer League roster the next time that we talk. But until then, I'm Vance Ballard, and thanks as always for joining. Remember to smash that subscribe button, leave a like, a comment on the video, and I'll see you right back here on Monday when we get to discuss some on-court action on Hornets Daily. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching.